What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Do you guys remember the 2024 election cycle? I'm sure you guys remember that because it wasn't that long ago, but we had the left, Democrats and everybody getting out there yelling, screaming, gnashing their teeth because everybody over here on the right was trying to say, you know, look, they're trying to get all these criminal aliens to vote in elections. They want non-citizens to vote in our elections. We were doing all the purging of the voter rolls. Sorry, it took me a second to get that out. Sometimes I can't think so fast. I don't know why. I get hung up on certain words, but it is what it is. But we were purging voter rolls of non-citizens, and the left was having a hissy fit over this. And they were getting out there, and every time any argument came up, it would always be, well, non-citizens can't vote in elections, can they? They were telling us they can't do it, so they're not going to. Well, full transparency, y'all. The news article I'm about to read you guys is a right-wing news source. Just getting that out of the way, just figured I'd let you guys know that because there were zero left-wing news outlets covering this. Surprise, surprise. And you wonder why you got low information voters over here in the Democrat Party have no idea what's going on. They hear Donald Trump talking about the cats and the dogs and they're lost. They're like, he's insane. Then come to find out, it wasn't the cats and the dogs, but it was geese and ducks. Oops. Not so insane anymore, is he? But let's get into this. After years of crying about alleged foreign election interference, Dems are begging a court to let non-citizens vote. That is right. So we've covered the stories before. These certain municipalities wanting non-citizens to vote in their elections. And they are signing up these non-citizens to vote. They're registering these people to vote. And once again, as I will say it's speculating. However, it is informed speculation, if you will, that when you get registered to vote and you go to a polling location, they don't differentiate between federal elections and local elections. As a matter of fact, I'm sure you guys know this very well. A lot of times when there is a federal election, you vote for local politicians, don't you? You sure do. So the fact that they're putting non-citizens on the voter rolls, and then, you know, some of these municipalities want non-citizens to vote in local elections, who is to say that they're not also voting in federal elections? Do they actually go in there and differentiate? Like if there's a machine, does it not let you vote in a federal election and only for the local municipality? I would love to know this. Can't find any information on it. Trust me, I've looked because of all those news articles I was covering 6-8 months ago talking about all this nonsense. I couldn't find anything on it. It was my search came up inconclusive, essentially. But for 8 years, Democrats railed against alleged foreign election interference, going so far as to spy on President Donald Trump's first campaign after making up false claims of foreign interference. Now, Democrats in the Big Apple are begging the courts to let 800,000 non-citizens vote in local elections. New York's highest court will hear arguments on Tuesday in support of a 2022 law that would allow roughly 800 non-citizens to vote in municipal elections if they are lawful permanent residents or authorized to work in the United States and have lived in New York City for at least a month. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This isn't criminal aliens, of course, but this is also like visa holders, people like that, people awaiting their citizenship, things of that nature, right? Once again, I've said I don't think that's a problem if they're awaiting citizenship, but people here on a temporary work visa, you know, they might have a permanent residence, if you will, because permanent doesn't necessarily mean that you're living here permanently, doesn't necessarily mean you're a citizen. I don't think anybody that's here temporarily should vote. I don't think non-citizens should vote either. I said I would be okay with it if they're voting in certain municipalities, but I don't think they should be. In other words, I wouldn't be getting up there and activating myself and going to some protest about it. In other words, I might get out here and say, I don't think they should be doing it, but I'm not going to gripe about it too much, right? Now, the only problem with that is if you do have these people, they're not supposed to vote in federal elections. How do you stop them from voting in federal elections? That's the question. I don't think there is a way to stop them from voting in federal elections unless you're not going to allow them to vote in just any, like if there's an election that has local politicians also voting with federal politicians, you don't let them vote for either one of those, but that would be discriminatory and that would probably violate some law somewhere. But so I don't think, just in general, just to be safe, we should let non-citizens vote. I don't care if election day is on November 5th and you're going to be sworn in as a citizen on November 6th. Don't think they should allow for that. I just don't think that's a possibility, right? Just because we can't differentiate, we don't know who's here legally and illegally. It's hard to differentiate between these, right, when it comes to this, because Democrats were registering non-citizens to vote like on a widespread massive scale, and I just don't think it's a good idea. But Democrats, they say they're not going to vote in federal elections, but we're going to go ahead and register these people to vote anyway. What can go wrong, right? What can go wrong? The law was previously struck down last February by the 2nd Judicial Department in the Appellate Division of the State Supreme Court, with Justice Paul Wooten holding that the law was in violation of the New York State Constitution and municipal home rule law. The 2nd Judicial Department's decision upheld a previous decision by a lower court. As noted in the ruling from the 2nd Judicial Department, the complaint argued that non-citizens could potentially make up 15% or more of the electorate in future elections, which is greater than the margin of victory in many municipal elections. Now, once you get that idea out there, right? Once you get those facts, it's not really an idea, but once you get those facts out there, then you can start to see the motivation for this, right? And that is part of the problem. When you have one political party advocating for non-citizens to be to go and vote and do all that, register these people to vote, and you got another party saying, no, we need integrity in our elections, and you pass laws to allow these people to vote, who you think the overwhelming majority of those people are going to vote for? I know that's not concrete, that's kind of speculative, but once again, I'm just saying, like, sometimes we got to dip outside of actual facts and get into logic. The logic would dictate on this that most of those people, if you've got one political party subsidizing criminal aliens over here, trying to give these certain group of people anything and everything, despite the same problems with American citizens that they seem to not care about, but they care so much for these people over here because, they're just trying to come here to have a better life, blah, 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 blah. It just goes to show that those people are much more likely to vote for the people that are giving them everything. I'm just saying, that's what logic dictates. It's not me dictating that. That is very logical to conclude that. In short, Democrats want to allow non-citizens to vote and swing local elections. But Democrats spent years pretending to care about foreign election interference. That they made up. Russian collusion hoaxer Adam Schiff said in 2021 that both parties must speak with one voice to disavow all interference in our elections. We must guard against and seek to deter all attempts at foreign interference and ensure that American voters decide American elections. That's very, very funny coming from Adam Schiff because of this. How a Russian disinfo op got Trump impeached. Let's read this first little couple of paragraphs right quick. I love to bring this up. 3 weeks after Election Day 2016, the Kremlin officially floated a theory that would ultimately lead to the only third presidential impeachment in U.S. history. Ukraine seriously complicated the work of Trump's election by planting information aimed at damaging his campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, a spokeswoman for Russia's foreign ministry told reporters on November 30th, 2016, accusing the Ukrainian government of scheming to help elect Hillary Clinton. Now, once again, Adam Schiff and that whole Russian collusion hoax. You gotta love these people, man. You got to love these people. His comments came 4 years after his party used bogus information from the Hillary Clinton campaign to justify spying on President Donald Trump's first campaign and then to cast doubt on Trump's legitimate win. That is right. So they used all this spy network of the federal government to go after. Of course, we all know this information. They went after Donald Trump. They spied on his campaign at the behest of the FBI, knowing that the Steele dossier was fake, made up, was fake. It's bogus, y'all. It is bogus, and I think we still need an investigation into that. Then, Vice Presidential candidate Kamala Harris worried in 2020 that foreign interference would cost her and Joe Biden the election. Even the propaganda press pretended to care about foreign election interference. Politico reported about the threats faced by campaigns from foreign election interference. CBS News cheered on Democrats in 2019 for pretending to better protect the country's elections from foreign interference. CNN highlighted Democrats' efforts to inform the public about foreign efforts to interfere in U.S. presidential elections. But now that actual foreign election interference stands to benefit Democrats, it's near radio silence from the left. Take Politico, which calls the non-citizens documented non-citizens, as if that makes their foreign election interference any less dangerous. Politico even had the gall to write that Trump and other Republicans have made the unfounded claim that non-citizens are illegally voting in large numbers before detailing how the Big Apple is one of many cities seeking to allow non-citizens to vote. The truth is, Democrats exploited low-information voters in 2016 with their foreign election interference scare. They used it as justification for spying, impeachment, and character assassination. This is all true, by the way. But when actual foreign election interference is on the line, the party suddenly lost its supposed appetite for safe and secure elections that are decided by Americans, but only because it stands to benefit the Democratic Party. And they said Democrat Party, but it's not the Democrat Party, is it? It's the Democratic Party. Let's get it right, y'all. Let's get it right. I've been accosted several times for calling it the Democrat Party. Right? They take it as an insult, so I'm not just looking to insult Democrats on this one, so I try to say it right. I try to use their pronouns however the hell they want to use them. So, it's just funny. But that, once again, when you're a fake news machine and you put out a bunch of fake news and also at the same time put out real news, sometimes your headlines are going to conflict. Like with Politico. Politico does this all the time, conflicting headlines. But, they get out there, once again, like they're bringing up a very good point here. That, Democrats, they're just worried about Russian disinformation. That's all they're worried about. Oh, Russia, Russia, Russia over here. But, having a bunch of criminal aliens come in and then just giving them legal protected status, right? Registering these people to vote. That's criminal aliens actually being signed up when it comes to that. So some of these people could be criminal aliens that were given legal protected status because now they're legal residents of the United States because of that legal protected status, and they entered our country illegally, right? But that technically could be election interference, right? They're bringing up, that's a very good point to bring up, because of Joe Biden bringing all these people in. That's a conspiracy theory. But once again, that's one of those things that it's really hard to prove because it's so widespread and it's so massive. You've got, okay, let's put the pieces together here. You got Joe Biden, just bringing in and giving legal protected status to 15 to 20 million criminal aliens. And then you have Democrats in sanctuary cities trying to register to get non-citizens to vote, right? Then there's crying, screeching, and yelling that they're not, we promise they won't vote in federal elections. But then you go back to, can you differentiate between non-citizens voting in local elections versus federal elections? And there is no guardrail for that. None whatsoever. There is not one that exists today anywhere that I could find. And once again, I have searched and searched several times, every time I've covered an article talking about some voter roll being purged, or something like that, because I always bring that argument up. And that is a question I would love to have, and I cannot find the answer. I can say for sure, with certainty, that in Louisiana, of course, non-citizens can't vote, but they said no. There would be no way for local election officials or the polling places to differentiate. If somebody was on the voter rolls, there would be no way to know if they were a non-citizen, whether it's a federal election or not. They said it's illegal for non-citizens to vote anywhere in Louisiana. So that's not an issue. But I asked further, can they, if they were to get on the voter rolls, a non-citizen, would you be able to tell? No, if they're registered, they can't tell. If they get on there legally, right? Like if they got legal protected status and they come in, blah, 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 blah. They're not supposed to be, and they can get in a lot of trouble if found out. But there's no mechanism as to figure this stuff out. Or at least that's what I was told. In other words, they don't know if non-citizens are voting in federal elections. If they are registered, they can't tell the difference. So, don't come to me after putting all those pieces together and say they're not going to be. Don't come to me calling me a crazy conspiracy theorist when you got Democrats over here walking out of a bank that has just been robbed, and they've got 2 giant duffel bags, and they've got on a mask and glasses, and you can't see their face, right? And they're saying, no, I didn't steal anything. The bank robbers are still in the bank, and they walk off. Don't come to me and try to tell me that they didn't just rob that bank, because that's exactly what's going on with this. That's exactly what's going on with this. They're registering criminal aliens to vote, or I'll say non-citizens to be fair. They're registering non-citizens to vote, trying to get them to vote in local elections. There's no mechanism to differentiate between non-citizens voting in local elections and federal elections, and then you're going to just tell me, don't worry about it? And then you're going to, on top of that, bring in 15 to 20 million criminal aliens and tell me that you're not trying to sway the electorate? Call me a crazy conspiracy theorist for thinking that? Like, I'm sorry. You can go somewhere else with that nonsense. You can get out of here, because logic dictates that, if you've got a mask on, a bank has just been robbed, and you're walking out of that bank with duffel bags full of something. Yeah, I'm going to assume you just robbed that bank. Like, these people are nuts, y'all, to think that this isn't going on. Once again, they call us so crazy conspiracy theorist, right-wing propaganda over here. But it's nuts, y'all. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this. What do y'all think? Democrats left holding the bag, literally? Or do you think there's, by God, they're not going to vote in federal elections? It is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video all over the dang place if you can. Anywhere and everywhere, if you will. But that's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.